All right, so recording. Okay, so right now I'm joined by members of the Ninja Forex team. So I've shown you during this webinar of what we do. Here is everybody in person. So we're going to jump straight into it. So guys, just before I go on to say thank you very much for joining me live on the webinar. Really appreciate it. So Brian, I'm going to jump in with you first because I know you go into another session. You do the Q&A session every week. Just tell me a little bit about the Q&A and how it really helps new people getting started.
Well, basically it's a resource that I host once a week and at a time that people can get on. And so I put a notification in the group an hour before and say, come on and get your questions ready. And the main purpose of it is either for new people or even people that are wanting to progress through their trading journey to be able, if they've got barriers to progress, that they can come and ask questions. There's so many things that have happened for me and some of the other, experts, I would say, that come onto the Q&A and help us out. Whether it's a technical thing in relation to a trading platform or whether it's just simply out of stock, Windows updating, or whether you want to have some remote sort of trading on your phone or whatever. It goes across a lot of different ranges. And I think it's about 2.5 years nearly that we've been on a weekly basis helping people out. Now, that's not to say that we don't answer questions within the group. Lots of people put their questions within the Ninja group and other members help also answer them. And sometimes I'll have a bit of a say in it. I'm a host. I'm not the one that knows the whole lot. So the group is where the strength is in questions and answers. The main purpose is so people can progress in their trading journey, and that's what it's about.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so
yeah, no
you host the session along with Brian. You do the Baby Boomer, the Power Hour. So just tell me a little bit about that and the sort of people that you attract to it and sort of how things work.
Sure, John. So yes, Brian and I twice a week in the evenings, Eastern Standard Time, I should mention, because we are a worldwide company after all, and there's all kinds of time zones that we deal with. Twice a week, Brian and I do host what we lovingly call the Baby Boomer Power Hour, simply because we're baby boomers, if you didn't notice. So we do the live trading twice a week. It's a training and trading session, basically. And we are doing it in this time zone so that we have something to allow our North American, primarily, members to have somewhere to go. We have a lot of members, in Europe and primarily in the UK. Who are doing sessions as well, but the times don't always work out for those of us on the other side of the pond. So, so Brian and I do these sessions for those members, and they seem to quite enjoy it. We have a good number of people that come on with us every Tuesday and Thursday night, and go through. And again, it's another opportunity to ask questions, to get a better handle on the two super simple strategies that we're using and teaching. And people are they're progressing, they're doing well. We've actually seen some of the people that come with us really come along a good ways.
Fantastic. And sort of how did you start your journey, with Forex trading? What was the, how did you start?
Oh, golly. I joined not long after Paul did. A few months after Paul did, actually. Had a very, very bumpy beginning because things were entirely different then than they are now. Sure. There wasn't much in the way of support, and I struggled, to be honest, for a very long time. Then I had some personal issues, so I took pretty much a year off, actually. So the beginning of last year is when I really sort of got back into it and have been chugging along quite nicely ever since. So everything's fallen into place beautifully. The changes and additions and the better training and opportunities that have come along through IM Academy, but also through our Ninja group, have made a huge difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Anne. Really appreciate your story. Thank you very much for sharing that. So, Paul, you got your microphone on there?
I have now.
So, Paul, you're the guy that was responsible for starting the Ninja group going back 3 years ago. You started the group. So what was your vision for the group and how have things sort of progressed since you started?
Well, it's like Anne's alluded to, it's different now to what it was completely. I'll be honest with you, I intended to just get a little group of 12 people. That was my plan, because the company would reward you for doing that to a certain point. When I came in and I saw the power of Forex, I thought that would do. And as it happens, it just exploded. And I knew we had something special. But if you hear that expression, kids today don't know they're born. Well, when like I started, so Anne can appreciate this, I think Brian probably can. When I started, there was only, I think there were 2 live sessions from the company. There was 1 product, right? So there wasn't really, there was support in case of like you couldn't log in. There was, you could go and get support for that. If your payment didn't go through, you could go and get support for that. But where did you go if you just had a question? Now, when I started, I struggled. I had a bumpy ride as well. I did great stuff, and then I crashed, and then I great again, and then I crashed. So I set the group up really just to try and help people get through that and share what I'd learned. And for about 2 years, we did pretty well, I'd say. We shared strategies and that was all great. But what we found is a lot of people are intimidated by going to the company live traders, the guys at the experts that talk really fast about take profit and trend lines and price traps. Okay. So when you're new, it's like a different language, right? And I heard you say on one of your interviews, or I think it was, one of the common things you found with people that are successful is they just didn't give up. Well, I'm trying to smooth that ride out for people. So skip forward 2.5 years, and actually one of my friends who's been trading for like 12 years now said, "Oh, Paul, you should look at doing live trading in the group." And I fought against it. I really did fight against it. So my vision was always to help, and I'm like, no, you got to think there's like 700 hours a week, whatever it is, of live training and trading now for my own academy. Why do they want to hear from like us? So anyway, I started it, and again, it was just such a success because I've had people say to me, just seeing your mouse move to see where you go to do something has completely changed my experience. And on some days when we don't actually take a trade, because there isn't a particularly great trade to find, they often get the best feedback because people say, "Oh, I learned so much," and it's just as important when not to trade as when it is to trade. And also, there's no amount of training that you can take that will cover every little nuance, every little tip and trick that maybe Brian's found, or Anne's found, or Sarah's found, or David's found, or Kevin, or John, or yourself. And newbies sometimes come to me, "Oh, do you know if you click that?" I saw it on a video. If you click that, it will bring that up and you can do that. So my vision has really changed just from well, I guess it hasn't, but my vision has grown now. And what I do want to say is it was my group. 3 years ago, it was my group. Now it is our group, and all of these people here are giving up their time for free. And that is the vision that I had, where I could walk away now and the group will continue. And some would say probably get stronger. But all of these people are stepping in to help. And I just want to say there is no competition in our group. We can all take the same trades. And that's why everybody is so helpful. We want to see you win. And my vision for the group now is just to take this to the next level and sort of get 10 times the members in, because we know we've got something special. All right, guys? So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. But that was my vision, where everybody could come in, make sense of this stuff, because it is like a foreign language when you start, but I promise you it's so easy. I look back and I think, how did I ever find that difficult? But I try always to put myself back in that new person's shoes. Think, what would I need to help me be profitable with this and get there a lot faster than I did, or any of us probably, to be fair, be that consistency. So anyway, does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I mean, it just clarifies what we do and kind of where we are as a team. But not only that, but it just shows the people on this webinar right now how exciting what we've got together, and that you're not by yourself. So appreciate that, Paul. That's brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. Sarah, how's Sarah? Are you okay? You need to turn your microphone's off at the minute.
Really good, thank you.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so I mentioned in the webinar previously, as you've probably seen, that last month, you're responsible for what, 472 pips in your live trading sessions, and you started from a standing start. We've spoken about your journey in a previous interview, but just for the people watching this, tell me, your journey and how you've progressed to going from a student of the academy to now being a successful full-time trader.
Well, first of all, thank you to IM Academy. Thank you to everybody on this call, and thank you especially to Paul for creating the group and having the vision and introducing us to it. It can be overwhelming when you first start, and I just decided that the pain of not doing it was greater than the pain of doing it to transform my life, our lives. You know, that's what we all want at various stages of our life, and that's what Forex can do for you. So my tip for people would be to pick a strategy. I totally accept it's overwhelming at first. Go through the Forex 100 units in the academy, but you could dip into the others later. Go through the units in our Ninja Forex traders team. They've been very well organized, refined, and put together over a long period of time. And then decide on one or two educators you want to follow. So in our instance, it would be BYOB, which is the Be Your Own Bank strategy, and the 25 to Life. And thanks to John and Paul for refining and putting that together from one of the top educators. And then get on the live sessions. And above all, be consistent, keep turning up and get on those live sessions, because as Anne said, there is a session for everyone, and you will start to have results once you are consistent and you follow the rules. And the power of Forex is in the power of compounding. So it's slow and steady wins the race. So often new people will come in and or come and say, I want to join, and they want it now, like in the first 24 hours, I want to be making money. And you have to say to them, well, that isn't how you can approach the charts. You know, if you come to the charts needy and desperate, you've got to come to the charts in a Zen position, put your emotions to one side, respect the charts. And it's not about the time on the charts. You do have to put the time in at the beginning, but it's about less time and more intensity, focus, and application when you are on the charts. And then you can actually make all the money. I mean, obviously disclaimers, but make what you need from your work on the charts in actually a couple of hours a week.
Brilliant, absolutely. Very, very succinct there, Sarah. Many thanks. Yeah, that's great. Really good advice. Thanks very much. So, John, I'll just come. Obviously, you mentioned John in that, Sarah. So, John, in the webinar, we've spoken about the strategy that you're doing and what we're learning from. And people watching this, what I've explained to them is that it can be as simple as looking at the strategy, copy and pasting what you put in the chat for us. So 1,500 and something pips last month. Just explain to me how you developed that strategy and how you sort of learned.
Yeah, so again, just like what Sarah says, I just want to say a thank you to everybody in the group and what everybody brings with regards to the live sessions. I'm in a position where I can't get on the lives as much as I would like to, because I do work a full-time job. I do like my job, but the Forex has brought so much more to what I have in life with regards to the freedom and things like that, and being able to do with what I can do with the kids. How I came about with Forex and the strategy was, I started a little over around about 2 years ago. I believe it is around 2.5 years ago. And I was doing the scalping, but it wasn't fitting in with my sort of lifestyle. So I sort of came in and out of the group for a while. And then I started to plug into the live educators really, really hard. And at the time, there was a few strategies was going around in the group. And I've always been the sort of person, I go against the grain, I'll go and do something that somebody has not done. And that's when I came across Oren Wright. It's just the way I am, but I'm like a dog with a bone. I'll get my teeth into something and I'll not let it go. And like I say, I mean, I've mentioned this on lives before with other people. Whenever I've watched Oren Wright, I'll document all my notes. I'll highlight things if I found something that has been of use. I'll archive the footage and then I'll go back, rewatch it, look at my notes, see if there's anything I've missed. And then I've done that over the course of a year to about 1.5 years. And then everything I've done, I've started now bringing into the team. And again, we go on about people's progression. I'm getting so much out of seeing people sort of getting the pips that I'm able to call. It's far greater than anything that I'm winning myself. Seeing other people winning within this, it's so amazing, you know. That gives us such a buzz, to be fair. And with regards to the strategy of the 25 to life, this came about from the side strategy where I've been catching pips on a strategy called Monday's Candles and Levels with Oren. And he's just started doing that over the number of, I would say about a month or two, where it's sort of a side strategy which helps the Monday candles, and it lets you grab a few more pips than what you would normally get. So I started incorporating that more certainly into last month's trading, and I have my record month, to be fair, with that in conjunction with it. This month, obviously, with what's going around in the world, it's a little bit hard hit. It was to be expected, but still, I think I'm just short of 500 pips to the good so far this month. So it has affected me, but 500 pips, there's 500 pips at the end of the year. So profit's profit. Absolutely. And you can't get any better than that, to be honest. So. And
just very sort of briefly, what would you attribute your success to?
Sticking with one strategy. Again, like I say, it can be overwhelming. And like I mean, I'll always say, I'll always go into somewhere someone hasn't sort of touched base with. And then, like I say, I've seen this thing with Oren. His education and his style, he makes it fun. It's not just do this. He's very engaging with his audience. And that's something I like to relate to. And with that in mind, it's such an easy process. If you stick with one strategy, okay, no matter how hard it is, stick with it, take the notes, document everything you find. These little things, it's like a fog lifting. It is hard at first, but that fog and the mist just lifts and you can just see the whole picture. You can see everything so clear. And you just got to be able to stick with that path of that one strategy, that one guide, that one sort of educator. And again, we all do this within the team and with what Paul's incorporated in the group now. We have been trying to stick with the one strategy, but the BYOB is a great strategy for the guys that are going for the 10 pip a day club and things like that and compounding your profit. There's so much power in that alone. You know, it's like keeping the basics of the Forex trading. And then obviously we've brought in the harmonics and the 25 to life with it. So yeah, thank you, Paul.
Brilliant. I love the analogy of the fog lifting. It's just how
it is, yeah. It was just like an aha moment. I was really struggling with the sort of stuff Oren was teaching. And then I thought, no, I've got my notes, go back, try and understand it a bit better, watch the video, take more notes. And then there was just one, it just clicked like that. And I could see it. I'm that confident now. I'm actually trading from naked charts. That's how far my progressions came within this. And it's all thanks to the academy.
I mean, for people on the webinar now, what that actually means is, it means that you've now learnt the trade.
Yeah.
Of being able to trade Forex in any situation.
Yes.
You've now got that trade for life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how powerful that is. Also, just one thing to clarify. So Owen Wright is part of the IM Academy, one of the educators within IM Academy. This is a real daft question. It's a leading question, but it's an important one. Could you have done this without IM Academy?
No. With the support of this group and what everybody does together, and again, I go back on my journey. There was a long time I was in the group and I was always watching the likes of what Brian does on a Monday night. I wasn't going on the live, but I was in the background watching these Q&As. I was even documenting things from there, what comes with them sessions, because what he brings to the group with that alone is very powerful. You know, so again, it's just like one big family, Forex family.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Thank you. So Kevin and David, okay, you're both muted, so you just want to unmute yourselves. Excellent. That's it. Great. So you both do you jointly do the 8 a.m. session, GMT. So David, you're a full-time trader. You're in my mind a very successful trader, because you are the epitome of a ninja, if you like. The ninja trade is someone that doesn't brag or boast or do anything else. It's just someone that comes in and says, by the way, this is what I've done this week. And you share all that information with the group. So just tell me very briefly, how did you start with Forex trading, and how's your career sort of progressed so far?
Well, yeah, originally I started trading about 5 years ago. And I started with a group of guys who were in the Shard in London. And they were all about using the psychology of traders by looking at the candles, just naked trading, basically, no indicators, looking at why people get into trades, why they get out of trades. So I learned a lot with those. And then I heard about IM Academy, and I actually got into another group within IM Academy, but there was nothing like we have here now. And I was in another group for about a year, 18 months. And then I found Paul online, Facebook, and he was basically started out by saying what he was doing with the harmonic scanner and how he was actually trading using the harmonic scanner. And I got involved with the group that way, and it basically, being a trader, I was always after consistency in trading. And the style of trading I do, I'm like a swing trader really, where I go after a lot of pips, but we have a large stop loss as well, which is fine as long as you've got the correct money management. And that is the way I swing, I do my trading. But I'm melding the way that Paul had a vision for the group and trying to meld doing the scalping, the BYOB, on the 10-minute, on the 15-minute time frame, and doing the 25 to life as it is now, doing all these different sorts of trades, and just basically giving back to the team that what I felt when we were with Paul initially about 2.5 years ago now, I guess, and just trying to give a bit back to the team and just trying to replicate his vision of how we actually go about trading. I teach a bit of swing trading. That's my preferred method, and I do that. But it's also it's such a big buzz when you do the live trading, and you get to see, oh, David, I took 10 pips. And that's a really good buzz, and it's also focused my trading because basically I've got to get it right, yeah. or try to get it right for the team and not being seen to make a mistake, because we're trading in the goldfish bowl. They can see everything we're doing, and that's great because it concentrates us a lot more, and I really enjoy the live trading aspect.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thanks, David. Yeah, and I'll say it's nice when you give out the trades and you're watching your sessions and you take 10 pips or 20 pips, just by coming on and watching your session. So brilliant. Okay, Brian, thanks very much. Have a good session. See you later. So Kevin, one of the things I mentioned on this webinar was the fact that as Ninja traders, we have access to exclusive software, and it's only part of the Ninja group, and you've been instrumental in developing some of that software. So just tell us a little bit about that if you can. Hang on, Kevin, you're yeah, there you go.
I joined the group about a year ago. Unfortunately, I met Paul at a marketing event, and having traded previously many years ago, off of naked charts and back in the early 90s, I had some sort of familiarity of how the markets worked. But coming into this group, it was evident pretty soon that we were focused on just a few strategies that we were fine tuning, and it got to a stage where I'm not a full-time programmer. I do it as a hobby, so it might sound a bit of a strange hobby to have, but that's just the way it is. But I looked at what we were doing on one of the strategies, and I thought, well, there's maybe an easy way of just putting this across on the trading platforms that we use. So along with all the platforms that we use through IM Academy and all the scanners, it was just one way of supplementing what we were doing, so that we could literally, not set and forget, but as good as we would have a criteria. The criteria would be met, and then we can, with a click of a button, we could just walk away from the computer and get an alert on your phone, whatever it may be on the computer. So we don't have to sit there all day long studying it. So I put that together and put it across to Paul, and then we sort of made it an exclusive to the group. So that's how that sort of come about, really. So and we've got other indicators that we're looking at the moment, some bits and pieces that I've been working on in the background to supplement other strategies that we do, may or may not be useful. But again, there'll be group exclusives. So That's how it came about. Just trying to make life a bit easier, really.
Yeah. So just making life easy for people if they're at work or you don't have to be in front of the screen all the time. Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, at the moment, well, I'm not travelling anywhere. What was going on in the world?
Hang on.
Leave my. I could jump on a plane, get off the other end, set and forget, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant.
So that came about.
Well, I think we're going to wrap this webinar up because we've heard from all the people. We've heard from the people that do live trading, the full-time traders, people that have, you know, developing software for us, all that sort of thing. So what I'll say to you guys right now, when you're watching this webinar, get back to the person that shared this webinar with you and get and speak to those people. If you're watching this webinar on one of my websites, there'll be a button on here somewhere. Click that button and I'll see you on the next page. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye for now. Thanks, guys. Great stuff. We're still recording, but that was great. Really appreciate the time. Really appreciate that. Thanks very much.
No problem, John.
So it's going to be the live webinar or the automated webinar. So what I'll do when it's all done, I'll share it with you and see what you think.
Actually, I was going to ask you, John, is it possible just to get this little portion, a copy of this little?
Absolutely, yeah.
That'd be great because I could use that right now with something I'm working on.
yeah. Well, it's generic, isn't it? So it's not. Yeah. Apart from the last call to action, it's quite generic. So you can put your own thing on there.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem at all. Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll call that done.
Toodaloo.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot,
guys.
See you in the morning.
Bye
I see, David, you've learnt to wear a white shirt on your dark background.
Yeah, I had a joy.
What you were saying this morning.
Yeah, indeed. Now all I've got to do is have a facelift. It'll be all right.
Oh no, tell me about it.
Hey, look all right, no?
I'm going to have my haircut tomorrow, I think, if I get a chance. I've already got a load of calls, but I'm going to look like John Doherty tomorrow. God help me. Right. See you guys.
Oh, by the way, John, can you make sure John Doherty goes on the Lua?
The Lua.
To be fair, that's a good idea.
Right. Catch you later, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.